Good morning, everyone. Can you all hear me?
Good
Oh,
morning.
yes.
Yes, good
Good
morning.
morning.
Good
Good
morning.
morning. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining this meeting.
Good morning.
Good morning. I still see a few people joining a bit late, so let's wait for a couple more minutes. I was just giving them time to, connect. They might be having some issues with the network or the computer. So once again, I'm really happy to see you all here on this meeting. Thank you for joining. Just allow me like another couple more minutes, and we will get going. Is that okay?
Yeah, no
That's fine.
issues.
Awesome. Thank
Yeah,
you.
it's okay.
Well, I think we should get going now. So, hey everyone, my name is Vishu. I'm the co founder of the Interview Academy. Today, I'll be here with you guys to just explain the details about the program. And if you have any questions, I'd be very much happy to answer them. So, thank you all once again for joining this webinar. And I hope it was not too early for most of you. I think most of you are from the mountain time zone. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Mountain Zone. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. So, and how many of you are from University of Concordia? Wow, that's great. That's good number. So earlier this year, we had a discussion with the management of the University of Concordia, and we have explained the benefits of this program, and the University of Concordia gladly accepted our request, and they were able to allocate a few students as a pilot project so that we could train them and have them see successful in various locations in various organizations. So the whole idea of this program is to ensure that the students are getting the right expectations when they are applying for the interviews, and they know what they have to prepare for the technical round especially, and see that they are successful. So we'll be getting into the details shortly, but I would like to just give you some introduction about this program and about this organization that we have set up for making this happen. So Interview Academy, it's a group of people which has decided, who has decided to form this company, form this organization to help the students from understanding the expectations of the organizations, the current day organizations, the current day work and technology. So we have set up this online training classes since 2018, and we've got people from most technology companies like Cisco, Fortinet, Arista, Palo Alto, Sophos. So we've got the people from the appropriate companies who are having mostly the open positions during various seasons in any year. Right now, it's all hiring freeze, so you may not be able to find so many open opportunities with these companies, but mostly in the Q1 next year, you would find positions opening for all these major tech companies in Canada, within Canada and USA. So back in 2018, we've been working in various organizations as HRs, as leads, as technical managers, or as hiring managers, as principal engineers, as escalation engineers, and at one point we used to be getting so many messages online on LinkedIn, on through other platforms, asking for suggestions as to how to crack technical interviews in such huge tech companies. And over the time, we were bombarded with more and more questions. As we were being in the hiring panel, people usually see our email addresses. They usually, scan through all the social networking profiles to find out more about the interviewer. So they reach out to us, to this group of people who founded this company. They ask some questions, they ask some guidance, and obviously, being in such position, we are bound to answer those queries. We are bound to answer those questions, and not at the same time, leaking those technical questions that we're going to ask in the interviews. So we used to provide the guidance as to how to prepare for the interview, what things you have to know before you apply for the interview or before you even attend the technical interview. And so many such questions were answered, guidance provided, and the candidates were successfully placed in various organizations after that. So with right set of guidance and with right inputs from the right people, we saw there was a huge success in the program. We saw a huge success for the students. Now, back in 2018, we had like at least like tens of people who have been showing interest into this program, and we could just reach out to them, personally, on LinkedIn or through other social networking platforms, and were able to provide the inputs. But over the time, we have seen larger expectations from this small crowd of people, larger expectations to teach certain things, to help them understand certain technologies, to provide some documentation, and the expectations are growing high and high. So for that reason, we have come up with this program called Interview Academy Online Interview Prep. So with this program, what we are trying to address is a few challenges that the students will face when they sign up for their course in the universities, after they sign up, when they go through the you know technical content, they don't understand certain things, or when they sign up online for a specific course online, like CCNA, Cisco Certified Network Associate, Cisco Certified Network Professional, Expert. Also, there are certain cybersecurity technologies, that you could sign up online for certain courses. But most of the people there, they couldn't relate to the concept. I'm going to give you an example here. How many of you have been to the beautiful places in Canada, like Banff, and how many have done a road trip between Banff and Jasper? I'm sure most of you might have done it because you guys are in Edmonton, right? And just imagine if you are sitting behind the wheel and you're afraid of driving the entire journey. You're not aware how to drive a car, and you're just sitting behind the wheel, and there are people sitting behind you. You have some dependency. So how do you feel the entire drive when you are going through those curvy roads and those beautiful places? You couldn't really enjoy the drive when you're sitting behind the wheel and you're not confident about driving. The same thing, when it comes to career, it's the same thing. When you have signed up for a master's degree, a master's program in certain technologies like cybersecurity, internet networking, and at the end of the program, if you're not really sure as to how these things work, and if you're not really used to the body language of these technologies, then it's really hard for you to take that entire journey, of that career path that you're yet about to make. So the point is, when you're learning something, you should just get used to that body language. You drive your car from office to home. Maybe the first few days you may use make use of the Google Maps, and then you'll reach the destination. But after that, if you have to drive home, subconsciously you just drive home without the help of any maps. I mean, most of you might have realized it at some point or the other, that you don't really think of the path to home. You just look at the road, think something about the drive, or you think something about your work on that day, and you drive home subconsciously. That's how it has to be, when you're learning some technologies. It's not like you have to remember everything in your mind, because the technology keeps growing. Even today, if there is any expert whom you know working in this industry, they keep learning new things day by day. So it's not like you're going to learn things for once and that's it. And you shouldn't really assume that, okay, you're done with learning now, it's all the time for application, or it's all the time for enjoyment. It's not like that. When you work for a IT company which is very much investing in various technologies, so every day you come across new technologies, and with new technologies, new problems that you have to troubleshoot, that you have to fix, that you have to identify, and find a way around to not run into that problem again. So most companies work on this model. The companies that you're targeting to apply for jobs, they work in this model. They expect the people who they hire to know about the technology and the problems associated with that technology. At the same time, how they deal with those problems in a time efficient manner, so that the clients of that business or the customers of that business are not greatly impacted when that problem arises. And they would like the people to design the solution, to design the network in such a way that there will be very less or minimal downtime to their client or to their customers. So organizations are looking for candidates with such skill set. And are we prepared to be, in that position, to take that position to support the customers of that business? So that's something that we have to question ourselves. Now, what is this program going to offer? Why and how this is different from the online, um, you know, content that you could find easily available for $10 or even $20 on Udemy or some other online training portals. Now, one of the drawbacks of such programs is they are recorded sessions, and there is no live interaction with the trainer, which means they prepare the content for a specific set of people whom they think are ideal people with some ideal mindset. They think that, okay, we prepare this content, we prepare this video explaining SD-WAN, or we prepare this video explaining UTM inspection on the firewalls, and they do not know the expectations or the situation that the person is in, or the mindset of that person, of how much technology that he is already aware of, or from which background he is coming from. So these things are not made aware to that trainer who is recording the content on these online portals. So what they do is they use some standard terminology, and they include that professionalism in the videos to make it so professional that it might actually not make any sense for a new graduate, or for a person who is coming from a different background altogether and who wants to make a career in the IT. So there is a disconnect in those courses. And at the same time, most of the time, the content designed in these online portals are based on theoretical assumptions, theoretical expectations, or the theoretical discussions. So if you could go online and search for a document, you may find the same amount of content on those learning portals. You could find the PDF, or you could find a PowerPoint presentation, or you could find a blog talking about that technology. And if you're technical enough, then you may be able to take a few points here and there. But that's what will be mentioned in the recorded sessions online on various portals where you could purchase this courses from. So how beneficial are these? People who also do CCNP or CCIE, they fail to explain what an ARP is. ARP is Address Resolution Protocol. They fail to explain the use of it. They fail to really point out that, okay, this problem is happening due to ARP. They're not able to connect the dots. That's because they go through a set of slides, they go through a set of videos, they understand, they learn, they mug up those things, they by heart the technology, the words, and everything, and they think they are going to implement it when they join an organization. Now, I'm going to be really honest. What happens when such people joins an organization is they are very much dependent on their seniors to help them, to guide them in the process of troubleshooting a problem, and in the process of deploying a solution. And the reason being, they couldn't connect to what they have learned and to where that has to be applied. So this disconnect is where we are focusing on. Any technology you take, for example, SD-WAN, talk about SD-WAN, the way how Interview Academy is going to bring up that technology to you is to make you understand the use of it, what made the businesses to choose SD-WAN, and at the same time, what kind of questions you will be asked in the interview. Also, once you join an organization, how you're going to implement SD-WAN, what are the best practices you have to follow, and what problems you might run into with this technology, and how you address them. That problem solving mindset will be developed during the entire tenure of this course. This is exactly what the online training portals will fail to deliver. They are not very much aware of the case studies, of the business case studies, of the customer case studies for deploying those solutions. Take an example of a firewall. So people sign up for cybersecurity courses. People record cybersecurity courses, assuming that okay, they can cover a lot of content for a technology in cybersecurity. They record the sessions, they post it on Udemy, they get paid. Now at the end, how many case studies are they covering in those technology videos? Are they really working with an organization? Did they have really any hands-on experience before recording those sessions in Udemy? Well, that information is not visible for you or for anyone. The level of expertise that person has who has recorded the sessions is not made visible to you unless you go online or do some social networking search and then find out more about that person. And anyone on Udemy portal can record those training sessions and put up those courses for sale. It could be anyone who doesn't have any hands-on experience can post their videos for sale on Udemy. Now, did they really work on those products? Did they really solve some handful problems in those products, what they are training on? We have to just pray that they are the right people to train us. But end of the day, after you go through that course, if you're not still able to crack the interview, that defeats the purpose of the time you have invested and the amount of resources you have invested. It could be financial resources, or it could be your personal time, it could be what all sacrifices you have made. It makes no sense because it defeats the purpose. I mean, because you're not able to crack an interview. And I'm not really saying that 100% of the people who are signing up for online courses are just wasting their money. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the content that is there on the online training portals is only good for certain section of people who have the right mindset to understand and to you know go on with that body language of the technologies. When you drive the car, you have to feel the steering wheel, you have to feel the body of the car, to understand how much you rotate your steering wheel and how much the car would make a deflection. So if you don't have that understanding of the body language, then it's tough for you to really drive that car. So that's how you have to understand the technology as well. Every day you go to office on a Monday, maybe in a week you go to office on a Monday, you shouldn't feel afraid that what if someone provides me with a challenge that I couldn't solve. You shouldn't have that feeling in your heart for forever. You can't have that feeling in your heart that I go to office and I don't know what to do. So do I have to reach out to somebody? Are they going to feel bad about it if I'm reaching out to them so many times? This feeling, you shouldn't have it. You shouldn't carry it forever throughout your career. If you're having this feeling and you're still continuing in that career, then you're at risk. You're prone to be getting fired at some point because you're still not confident on the technology. And I'm not just telling this to make you feel afraid, but I'm just explaining the the feelings of a person who is not really confident about the role that he is placed in. Luckily you got a call from the interview and you are able to crack it. Mostly it's not the case in Canada. It could be the case elsewhere in different countries where the expectations are different, where the questions are a little bit easy and not very complex. But here in Canada, at least, the tech companies who are paying you more than 70,000 per annum, they require you to know the in and out of a technology. You need to have some hands-on, and at the same time have that problem-solving approach. I'm not sure how many of you all have already applied for interviews here, but have you run into any situation where you are asked a scenario-based question in the interview? Any of you here? Any one of you have run into this situation where you're asked some scenario based questions, not definitions? Manvinder, nice. Tirtha Patel, good. So two out of like 14 people here on this meeting, they have applied for interviews. Rajneesh, three. Three out of this 15 people who have applied for the interviews. I'm not sure how many have not even started applying for the interviews, but we have three people here who have applied for the interviews and who have faced these scenario based questions already. And the reason being the competition in the market. Organizations are able to find people who has got some sort of experience with the product already, and they were able to answer the scenario based questions, and they are able to get into those roles. Now what about people who does not have any hands on experience? What about people who did not really run into any trouble with a product or a technology? Have you ever thought about, you know during your entire academics, have you ever thought about, okay, I learned this technology, now what are the problems associated with this technology? Where am I going to implement this technology? I'm not sure if SD-WAN has been covered in your academics, but did anyone think from the point of troubleshooting a problem reported by SD-WAN? Anyone thought about it, like when you're reading it? You have to start thinking from that perspective. If you have not till now, it's fine, but from here on, before you get graduated, or before you could apply for your next interview, you have to start thinking from that perspective. You learn everything, all good, fine, but what are the problems that are associated with this technology? For sure, no code in the world is perfect. Either the code will be vulnerable for some attacks, or the code would have some bugs, so that whatever the purpose it is designed for, it may not serve the purpose after a certain time, maybe due to certain kind of special conditions in the network, certain special traffic entering the network, and the device not really processing it or handling it, and therefore the traffic is dropped, or the packets are dropped by a device. So these things can happen due to the firmware bugs. So none of the firmware that we have, like Cisco, or you take Palo Alto, you take Fortinet, Sophos, for any of the products they have, for any of the firmware they have, every firmware has got a firmware bug. So how are you going to deal with those problems presented by those products which are leading leading products, or which are leading vendors in this market? Think from that perspective. If you're learning anything, think from that perspective. And this perspective is not built into that online training courses that you subscribe for, because they haven't really worked in such environment where they dealt with so many problems, or they dealt with so many customers who wants to deploy that solution. What they have done is done some online research, watched some YouTube videos, and prepared some content for sale in their own style. They delivered it in their own style, so that people just buy them and then understand. I think they are good for the certifications, but are we really learning technology for certifications, or are we really learning the technology for cracking an interview? That we have to realize. Because even if you do not have certification, even if you do not have certification, there is a good amount of chance that you can crack an interview, because certification is not the criteria that most companies consider. Certifications is good thing to have, but there are certain section of companies, like companies who are business partners, who sell products by being a third party. They require you to have certifications, because their business will advertise that their employees are certified in so and so technologies, and therefore they expect you to have certifications. If you are targeting those companies, then yes, you need to think of doing a certification as soon as possible. But if you're targeting certain companies where you have to work for them directly, it's not a third party. Let's say you're working for Palo Alto, it's a firewall company, it's a product based company. So they don't have to advertise their customers that that we have these many number of candidates or engineers working with them, which are who are certified. They don't have to advertise that, so they don't really look into that aspect in the candidate, that whether the candidate is certified or not. Obviously they provide certain requirements, but if you match the job criteria, they will still give you a call for the interview. And as long as you could justify the things that you have learned, as long as you have that solving ability, then there is no one stopping you from cracking that technical interview and getting that job. So Just think about it, in your free time, that whatever you're learning so far, whatever you have learned so far, have you really thought of learning it from the perspective of solving a problem, from the perspective of, identifying a problem if something wrong happens with that technology? So, and there is no mention of proof of concept in this online training courses. They don't say that, hey, you implemented SD-WAN. Now, why do you implement it? Or what is the purpose of it? They may cover it in less than 2 minutes. For redundancy of internet connections for your business, you can have SD-WAN, and traffic will be automatically steered between the two internet connections. Now, automatically steered, what does it mean? They don't really explain it. How does a router or a firewall with SD-WAN capability route the traffic automatically on the healthy ISP interface, on the healthy internet circuit? That's not really explained well. And that's exactly what is important for the interview. And that's exactly what is important for a business or for a customer who is implementing SD-WAN. And this proof of concept is not really given any importance in the online training courses. And they are pretty much fast paced, where you couldn't catch up. You have to pause the video, you have to go back, do some more research on something you didn't understand. You have to go online, search for answers, and then come back, watch the video. And you can only post a comment on that training course that you have subscribed from, and you can just wait for their answer. And this goes on and on for so many questions that you may have. And there is lack of reference material. All you have to do is just watch the video, and there is no reference material for that. And for sure, since you're not implementing this, there is a high chance that you're going to forget what you have learned from this online course. Because people who are working right now in various organizations at various levels, they even forget the things that they worked on already. They might have configured something on a firewall, they might have configured something on a uh, call manager application, or on a router, or on a access point. They configure something, and for a month they don't do that again, and they have to go back to the documents, review it, and then configure the same thing after a month. So this happens even with the professionals who are working in various organizations. Now talk about the students, the grads, talk about someone who doesn't have any hands-on experience. Do you really think that you will be able to really, have that knowledge carry forwarded throughout until you find a job? It's really tough. Unless, if you're doing exceptionally well, you've gone through the video at once, and if you have so much memory power, then you can store a lot of content in your brain. But still, that's good only up to cracking the interview. But after cracking the interview, that's when people start to face that struggle as to how to solve the problems, as to how to design a solution or a network. So that's where the challenge arises. With Interview Academy, what we are delivering is an experience for the students who can interact with these experts who are already working in major organizations, understand the expectation of organizations, understand what has to be, what is the criteria that the organization is looking for when hiring a candidate. You can talk to a person in real time, one on one, or with a group around. You can talk to the person, find out what is the expectation that the company has, find out what you must be aware of before even applying for the interview, how you will be interviewed in the technical round. You could ask these questions, but certainly not the interview questions. I mean, the trainer is going to help you with all the interview questions. The trainer will be helping you as to how to answer the answers, how to answer those questions. Sorry, the trainer will be able to give you those tips as to how you can answer a question and make the interviewer ask a next question for which you already know the answer for. So there is a way, there is an approach that you have to follow when you're answering a question. If you follow that approach, you are just giving a lead to the interviewer that, hey, this is the answer to the question. And the interviewer might think it is provoking, the answer is provoking a bit, and he may ask a follow-up question, he or she may ask a follow-up question on the answer you have given. And that answer, we design it in such a way that the next question's answer is also known to you, so that you can confidently answer the next question as well. So there is a certain approach you have to follow, and that kind of a tip you're going to get from the interviewer for all these different courses that we are offering. Now, you'll be interacting with experts who have worked with many organizations, who have hands-on experience, who has solved many problems, who has designed many solutions, who has designed many networks for various third-party businesses, for various customers or clients. So these are the people who have really worked in the field on those products, on those technologies. So they pretty much know what they are teaching you. And if you could ask any n number of questions that you have in your mind about that technology, that's related to the interview or to the job that you are applying for. And obviously the outsider's opinion is very much valuable these days, right? I mean, you obviously reach out to a person who is working in the organization to find out how the interview is going to be. So that's something we are offering through the program, so you can talk to that person from that organization. As long as we have tie-ups with those organizations, you could talk to that person of that organization to find out what the expectation from that interview. And you'll have the problem solving skills, technical interview skills, what you have to really how cool you have to maintain, and what technologies that you have to learn before the interview, the expectations, your resume building, and things like how you present yourself technically, or how you present yourself as having some hands-on experience in the interview. These kind of tips will be certainly given to you as part of this program. Now, these are the questions, and I'm not sure if any one of you are here from those messages that we have received, but we have certainly a good number of people here, reaching out to our founder and myself, asking questions about how to apply for the interview, what to prepare for the interview. These are a few examples that I wanted to show you, that how many people are reaching out to Interview Academy to know about this program. And these are a few courses, that you could find online where many people have signed up to it and they fail to pass in the interview. Now, I'm not sure how many of you have signed up to such courses on Udemy or in your academics, but except Manvinder in this meeting, but could anyone answer this question, that if you are from the domain of IT networking, if you have learned about routers, if you have learned about switches, we have learned about computers. Can anyone answer this question, which is a very basic question in the interview? A user is trying to access internet, but the router in that network is not able to forward the traffic to the internet. The router is simply dropping the traffic. You have your computer at home. You have a modem at home. Your modem is a router. So you're trying to access internet and that modem is not forwarding the traffic to internet. What would you do? This is a question which was not answered by a number of CCIE experts who have gone through such trainings in so many places. What would you do if the modem at your home is not forwarding the traffic to internet? If the router at your home is not forwarding the traffic to internet?
To do a hard reboot of the router, like press and hold the power button, turn it off completely, and then wait for all the signals to boot up again and try the connection.
Great.
Like that's the basic level troubleshooting which we could do.
You're right. You're 100% right. But just imagine rebooting a hardware in an organization where you have thousands of people in their network logged in. Would it
Okay.
cause any impact or no?
Yes, it does. I thought you're asking about home-based
Yeah.
scenario, sorry,
See,
not in an
yeah, that's
organization. Yeah.
right. That's right. So many people who are applying for interviews, right, they're coming with this mindset. So for sure the question I have asked is not made 100% clear, but I'm just trying to throw an idea here how fresh graduates might answer this question, even if you didn't mean to answer this with a reboot. Most people whom I've come across, they say that we would reboot a router as a quick fix. But is that going to help? I mean, we have to be aware that there are thousands of people out there, connected with that router, maybe they are accessing some internal resources, not internet. And rebooting that router might cause those users in the network to not be able to access internal resources as well. Okay, you're rebooting the net router now, but what if the problem comes back again? It's fixed, but what if the problem comes back again? So you keep rebooting the router forever? No. So the business looks at this problem differently, and we as individuals, we look at the problem differently because there are different expectations. Again, for you, your mindset is to resolve the problem, so you want to do it in the quickest way possible. But for business, it's not like that. For business, it is you that you have to identify the problem, the root cause, and find a solution so that it doesn't happen again with minimal impact. Again, maintaining all the service level agreements, making sure that the users are not offline for a very long time, right? So that mindset gap between the fresh graduates and the organizations is what we are trying to fill up with this program. And that mindset is actually not built in this kind of online programs. Even if you see this cybersecurity course, 1,54,000 students have signed up for this. And how many people are really getting into some roles where they're really working on cybersecurity is very less, very minimal. And people who are looking at getting certified for, take an example of NSE 4 or Palo Alto certification, this course is nothing, because those product vendors, they have designed their certifications in such a way that you understand the in and out of the product and the technology, how you um, you know um, troubleshoot a problem or how you fix an issue. They have such requirements in the certification, and you go through this course, which is just $26. Not about the money, but the quality. Even if they are charging this course for $300 or even $3,000, I'm open to sign up for that. But how much useful it is for my career is what make me what going to make me decide whether to go with that course or not. So these are the various courses offered by Interview Academy as of now, but there are many more coming in. So network security, we touch base on some Cisco, Palo Alto, Fortinet, Checkpoint, and Sophos technologies. Routing and switching, Cisco, Palo Alto, and Fortinet. Obviously, the firewalls can also act as routers along with the firewall capabilities. So Wi-Fi and wireless communication, voice over IP, these are the hot technologies in the market as of now. For most of the jobs you apply for in the IT networking, the very basic expectation that the organizations are going to have is you being aware of how this networking works with these products, how the end users are able to make calls, or how the end users are able to access certain resources in the network, how you access a server. Even if you have to be a developer, then it's important for you to understand the TCP/IP stack, how it works. Even if you want to be a QA engineer, it's important that you understand how a router will operate, how a router will route the traffic, how a firewall will inspect the traffic. Because end of the day, when you're being a QA engineer, then you have to understand how a feature works, and you have to do some stress testing of that feature by generating a lot of traffic, have that feature work on that traffic, and then see if that feature will break. So for that, you need to have that 100% knowledge on that feature, and then create certain case studies to see if you could break that feature. That's QA testing, right? So for all such roles, it's important that you have this knowledge set with you, to be able to crack the interview and to be able to do your job properly once you're hired. These are the courses offered. And with routing and switching course, we'll be having like three different types of delivering this course, like typical, accelerated, and extended. With the course that we are starting from mid January, we are targeting like accelerated sessions, like 2 to 3 hour sessions twice in a week for 3 months. And we are hoping to complete all these technologies: routing and switching, network and cybersecurity, wireless networking. VoIP is obviously included into the routing and switching course. VoIP is a very little concept. As long as you could understand the basics, the very basics of VoIP, not all the companies outside are expecting you to have expert level knowledge on VoIP, but it's good to have skill set in your resume for sure when you're applying for IT companies, when you're applying for IT networking roles outside. And wireless networking. So fresh graduates who are coming out, who have mastered in the field in the field of computer science or in the field of IT, they do not advertise their skill on wireless communication. While they have already gone through that in the academics, they still don't advertise it because they are not very confident about how access points work or wireless controllers work, what are these bands and things like that. So having that skill set is a bonus along with routing and switching, along with cybersecurity, because most vendors that you see right now, you apply for Cisco, you apply for Fortinet, you apply for Sophos or Palo Alto, or even third parties who are supporting those products. These products, they support SD-WAN. These products, they support VoIP. They support access point. Then, I mean, the firewall can act as an access point. Router can act as an access point where you could have your laptops or wireless devices connected to. So when you're supporting those products, it's important that you have this skill set, and it's important that the hiring people they make sure that you have that skill set before they hire you. So it's obvious that you have to know these technologies because multiple features are being put into one product these days. It's like, why should a customer buy a product which serves as only a router? Why should a customer buy a product which serves only as a SD-WAN device? Why should a customer buy a product which serves only as a firewall? Why can't all these features be part of one device? So that's the mindset of the people now. When you're buying a phone or when you're buying a hardware for yourself, for your use, for your personal use, for sure you're looking at multiple features, right? For sure you're ensuring that that device that you are buying is capable of Bluetooth, is capable of Wi-Fi, is capable of being managed from elsewhere in the world, is capable of doing something else as well. So certainly you're thinking at multiple aspects of that product, how you could use it. That's the same mindset of the customer who wants to buy a firewall now. They want to make sure that the firewall will act as a router, will act as a switch, will act as a firewall, will act as a Wi-Fi access point and also an SD-WAN device. And certainly, Palo Alto supports SD-WAN and all those features. Fortinet supports it. Sophos supports it. Also, Cisco is coming up with such products where they could include these features in one device. So, end of the day, you're going to end up learning all these technologies. Is it the easiest way or the difficult approach once you get hired? Relying on the seniors is what is gonna make a difference. So you're gonna have like initial screening when you're applying for an interview where you'll be asked certain questions about your academics, certain questions at the personal level, at the professional level, your previous experience, where you have come from, what is your status in the country, and things like that. In the initial screening, they would look at your resume and then they would forward it to the hiring manager. Now, the hiring manager, before he could bring some experts into the interview panel, he would initially filter the profiles and ask some basic questions in the second technical round in the technical round in the second round. And if you're not able to answer those questions, then you're out already, because organizations really do not invest time and that resources for someone who is not going to make a successful candidate for the role. So they're going to filter the candidates before a proper interview panel will interview you. So in the second round, it's very basic questions you'll be asked on some based on some definitions or based on your academics or your previous experience that you had. And if you're not able to pass that second round, there is no question of third or fourth rounds. And then in the third round, when you're past the second round basic technical interview, in the third round you'll face a technical interview panel with 3 or 4 people joining the meeting, and they will be asking you questions on based on scenarios as to how you would react even if you are a fresh graduate. Like a question that I've just asked now: what would you do if your router is not forwarding the traffic to internet? What would you do if your firewall is not forwarding the traffic to internet? You need to think from the perspective of solving the problem with minimal impact. If you could present that in the interview, you've already answered that question. Even if you're not able to give them proper answer, if you're able to present that approach that, hey, I've not really come across this kind of scenario, but what I do usually, when it's just one user, is reboot the modem. But if it is multiple users who are going to get impacted with this reboot, then what I would do is use certain tools to find out what is happening on the router, how I connect to the router, what would I check inside the router before I reboot it, because I don't want to run into that issue again. So presenting this kind of mindset or problem solving approach in the interview is pretty much important, even if you don't know the answer to the question. They look at the mindset, not the answer. And if your mindset is just to, you know, uh, reboot the router and not find out what is exactly happening, then it is very highly unlikely that the candidate would do the same, would do something different once they are hired. I mean, how would an interviewer expect you to, learn and adapt quickly uh, to the expectations of customer once you are hired, when you have such a mindset? I mean, they will lose the trust in you when you come up with such mindset, that you're going to do something to fix the problem and then just wash your hands. So it's not really going to help in the technical round. So the third technical round, the final technical round in an organization, is going to be scenario based. And already like three or four people has raised their hands here to, say that uh, they have faced these scenario based questions. And finally, the HR interview is pretty much basic, and most of the universities in Canada have got these career guidance programs. So these career guidance programs are good for initial screening and the HR interview. But what happens in between is something that is not covered by these career guidance programs. So they help you with resume building, they help you with the posture check, they help you with your communication skills, they help you with how you have to answer the questions in the interview. They ask you to smile, they ask you to, express yourself, they ask you to convey certain things in a way that you could impress the interviewer. But they never tell you, how to answer those scenario based questions, because that doesn't fall into their line of responsibilities. So what they do is mostly the assistance they give you for initial screening and the HR interview, how you negotiate the pay and things like that. But in between, what you have is very crucial. Only if you pass those, then you could go to the fourth round. Otherwise, no, there is no point in signing up for ten career guidance programs and not knowing the technology. So this is what our course is going to offer. We'll be providing you live classes for all these courses, live troubleshooting sessions. Giving you a scenario. We would be asking you questions as to how you would solve this problem. Obviously, you won't be able to answer because you don't have some real-time experience with the product. But we make you think, fail to answer, and then we correct you. That, hey, you think from this perspective. Now, what about this? I mean, what about the router working in a certain way? Shouldn't it defeat the purpose? Isn't it already working? We are going to give you some hints to make you realize that your question is not valid. So therefore, you're not going to ask that question in the interview when we are answering a question. So when a scenario-based question is given in the interview, you need to ask certain follow-up questions to be able to answer that question, final question. But if your questions are wrong, then you won't be able to get to that answer quickly. So what right questions you're going to ask will depend on how well you understand the technology. And when we do these live troubleshooting sessions, we ensure that you ask some questions which are incorrect, and we correct those kind of questions that you're asking, so that you won't repeat that thing in the interviews. So that will be delivered in the live troubleshooting sessions. We provide mock interviews with experts in the industry, like, from hiring managers. We're going to bring in some hiring managers. We're going to bring in some people from the interview panels who take interviews in real time, in the real world with various organizations, and we make them interview you after a certain period of the course, so that you know where you stand, and what needs to be done, what homework you have to do before you could apply for an interview. So I think it's better to be careful than be sorry, right? I mean, you don't want to waste the opportunity with an organization and then be sorry about it later. It's better where you stand, and you know what you have to prepare, and once you are very well prepared, you can apply for the interview, and you have better chances of cracking that interview. So you'll have access to the recorded sessions even if you're not able to attend the class. I'm sorry, attend the class. You'll still have access to the recording session forever until you're able to crack the job, and until you are successful in your career in that role. Sorry, someone's just joining. Give me one sec. Sorry about that. It's pretty cold out there. So, just a summary of what we're going to offer in the one-to-one mock interviews here. One-to-one sessions, 1 hour long, with an actual hiring manager or team leads or people from the interview panel. Simulated interviews, it's going to be like an exact interview that you would face when you apply for an organization. It will be one-on-one, not with a group of people around. So we make sure that environment is recreated for you when you're on the call with us for this mock interview. So for those 4 courses, we're going to have these interviews arranged. Detailed verbal feedback and written feedback will be given to you as to what areas you have to work on, and this interview will be recorded and shared with you, so that you can go back and reevaluate yourself as to what mistake you have done during that mock interview. So the 3 ways of delivering these courses. So we are aiming for accelerated sessions starting from mid-January. So we are hoping to cover this 4 courses: routing and switching, VoIP, net cybersecurity, and then wireless communications in a span of 3 months with accelerated sessions. There are other ways of delivering this course which we are not aiming at currently, because we are still in the talks with various universities in the discussions of pilot projects, where we offer this course for the students of certain universities for free to get the real value and benefit of this. And based on how the talks goes, then the appropriate um, schedule will be created for those universities. Like for now, with the University of Concordia, what we are targeting is accelerated sessions, to be able to complete the course in 3 months before they graduate and they apply for the interviews. So just a summary again: what value we deliver: high level understanding of complex concepts, which is not very much likely if you sign up for an online course. Key takeaway points for the interview preparation: what you have to revise before the interview, and case study references for sure, because we have the trainers who have worked in various organizations on various products. They very much have recorded their experience with various problems they've worked on so far. And practical learning, we suggest you some tools to install on your computer so that you use those tools and those technologies. For example, let's say you're applying for a network operations center role, NOC role, or you're applying for security operations center, SOC role. So what they do is most of the time monitoring. Now, you being a fresh graduate and you're applying for a NOC role, which is very much likely because most companies here who hire fresh graduates are mostly into monitoring the network, the first level support, like help desk support. And if you have to monitor the network, you need to be aware of the protocol called SNMP, Simple Network Management Protocol. And what are the tools you use? Sorry. So, what are the tools you use uh, when you monitor the network? How you monitor the network, what troubleshooting you do when you're not able to monitor a device. These are the tools that are available online for free, but which one you use for the best of the understanding of the technology is something we will suggest. And you can certainly exhibit this as your hands on expertise that you have gained during your academics or during your training period in your resume. You can certainly put that as hands-on expertise, that okay, you have worked on Qualys security tool, you worked on a MIB browser SNMP tool, you worked on Wireshark. So these kind of things you can mention in your resume, as long as you're able to prove that you have the knowledge in that area. So resume preparation, we give you some inputs before you apply for an interview as to what points you have to mention as well. And we ensure that you are fully equipped with the knowledge, with the skill set, and with a proper resume for you to apply an interview. So these are some common open positions that you'll find every time throughout the year at these companies. So all of these companies require you to have those four important skill sets that we are going to deliver. And these are a few testimonials we've got from people who are successful in the last year, sorry, in this year. And they have got placed into various organizations. We have a few more that we have listed on the website and elsewhere on the social networking. But these are a few who are hired into some good organizations over the last few months, and they are doing really well at work as well. I mean, a person who joined as a level one support is now a sales engineer, is now someone who is deploying solutions, who is designing solutions for organizations. So that is in a span of an year, they are able to take up that role. And they are a fresh graduate. It's their first job, and they changed to another organization as a sales engineer. They were able to deploy solutions now than supporting a product. And this is what the increase in pay is going to be when you have such skill set with you, when you have such knowledge level, where you're able to not only understand the technology, but also figure out the problems associated with it, and then design something that works out best for the customer. That's the level of increase you can see. The dark area that you see there is what you could aim for. You shouldn't settle down to a lower pay at any given point in your career. I mean, as long as you're working for a great organization which is investing a lot of money and resources in new technologies in developing the product, it's fine for you to stay there for some time and then increase your pay. But if you're working as a help desk technician somewhere, or as a level one support somewhere, then you really have to upskill yourself, and then um, figure out a position with an organization where you can earn more. And it all reflects the knowledge that you have. I mean, if you are working for 3 or 5 years as a help desk technician, and you're still at a pay of like 45 or 50,000 or even 60,000, 5 years, the interviewers for the other roles that you're applying for, they might just see you as a uh, naive engineer. I mean, they wouldn't really consider you as an experienced person for the role you have applied for, because you've been as a helpless technician for 5 years, which means you do not have the zeal to move up in your career. And now you're applying for a role which is like senior network engineer or network architect. It's not going to make sense. They won't even select your profile for an interview. So that's how your resumes will be ignored when you're applying for positions. So you have to make sure in the first 2 years of your career that you are placed in the right spot. If you are crossing that 2 year mark, then you'll really face a difficult time in getting a higher pay or moving into a role that better suits your knowledge, but that better suits you know your aim that you had before you entered this IT industry. So these are the average salaries of the various roles that I have been talking about. And being a help desk technician for 5 years or 3 years, and now you apply for a systems engineer role, for sure the organization is not going to select your profile. So systems engineer, Microsoft and Amazon has got systems engineer positions always open throughout the year. But they don't even look at your profiles if they don't see growth in your resume. Obviously, your resume will reflect your motive, your attitude. So certainly, if someone pre-screening you, even if you are lucky to get into an interview call, and then if they are pre-screening you and you're not able to answer a basic question on which you have worked for 4 years, then there is no point in taking your profile further for a technical interview panel, because uh, they're very much certain that you're going to fail that third round, which is interview panel. So it's up to you to decide, where you want to stand in the first 2 years. If you are aiming for higher pay, then you have to do some, make some quick moves, in upskilling yourself and in trying to understand everything that you do. People, I've seen a candidate recently whom I've interviewed, and that person used to monitor the network daily for the last 3 years, and that person used to connect to the VPN, for almost every day, when they log in for work. I mean, since most of the people are working from home, they connect to the VPN every day, almost every day. And when I asked this question about the use of VPN, he doesn't have an answer. So what is he doing over the last 3 years? He was just asked, or he was just given some instructions to enter the username and password and connect. And he was just doing these three things: enter the username, password, connect. Now, what is happening when he's entering the username, password, and connecting? He is not aware of that. What happens if he doesn't connect to VPN and then try to access certain tools? He's not aware of that, which means you're just moving on with the instructions given by somebody. And now, with that kind of a mindset, should I expect the person will excel in the role that he has applied for, technical support specialist or network architect? Would he really take up the challenges that he's going to face in a network architect position? Network architect should have that understanding of how the technology will work, how to deploy a solution so it is redundant and it's not going to cause any failures for the end users, no outages for the end users. So that kind of problem solving mindset, critical thinking mindset is required. And something such roles are not meant for those people who really don't know what they are doing at work for the last 3 years. So obviously these people don't you know cut out are not cut out for those positions, so they lie in that slab of 45 to 60,000 per annum forever, unless they upskill themselves, they realize the value of learning things and getting used to the body language of these technologies. And our motive is pretty clear. We want to make sure that the experience of the candidates who are applying for interviews is smooth. It is stressful for the people who are applying for the interviews. It's stressless, sorry. Most people who are applying for the interviews, they have this stress in their mind, a day before the interview, that whether they will be able to crack the interview, or maybe they're very much dependent on getting that job. They're very much keen to get that role because they have seen their friends working in that organization. They have seen that organization paying well. So all this adds up to the pressure on that person, where he might even worry about not getting the job, and he doesn't really think of answering some questions in the interview. It's like you getting some personal attachment with that role, and you won't be able to deliver the expectations. So we want to make sure that to whatever job you're applying for, you want to make sure that the experience is stressless, and it's something that you take it cool and calm, so that you are focusing more on the technical part, and then the result is something that is going to come in your favor as long as you're delivering it right. So we are making sure, our vision is to ensure that we cover as many case studies, as many proof of concepts to make you understand the purpose of the technology, right? Not just the definition, not just the use of it. The purpose, why it has to come into existence, what challenges it has addressed, and what new challenges the people are facing with those technologies. When I say technologies, for all those four courses we are delivering, why someone has to move from MPLS to broadband internet circuits, the purpose of it, what SD-WAN is going to do. So SD-WAN and internet circuit, SD-WAN and MPLS. You may find these two are different concepts, but there is a technology here which is coming as a savior to reduce the costs of a business. MPLS is going to charge you high, the business high. I mean, these are dedicated circuits, so business have to pay a lot. And with SD-WAN, you're going to get the same level of internet quality with lesser price. So SD-WAN is coming as a savior in place of MPLS. But when you read MPLS and SD-WAN, you may not be able to find that connect. So we are going to bring that connect when we are explaining MPLS and SD-WAN. So this is the same. This is applicable for any other concepts we discuss during the course. So that is our vision, to ensure that everything that you learn will make sense to you. So I hope, I think I've given some good amount of understanding of what we are going to offer, what we are going to deliver through this course. And if any one of you has got any questions, please feel free to ask now. This is that time. Sure, Mayuri, go ahead.
So the 2 to 3 hour sessions per week you mentioned, right? Is that going to be on the weekends like Sundays or any specific hours? Because we do part-time works, right? So we have to schedule accordingly, plan it.
Yeah, so after this meeting, there will be an email sent to all the participants who are willing to sign up. We will be asking for their availability for the next 1 month, in the month of January. And based on the larger crowd's availability, right, we are going to schedule the course. But even if you couldn't make it during that time, a recorded
Mhm.
session will be available. And after that, after you go through that recorded session, if you still got any questions, there are doubt clearing sessions available that you could, simply send an email to the instructor and then set up a meeting to discuss those questions, the concerns that you have with that concept, with that class that we have covered.
That's perfect. Thank you.
Rajneesh, you have a question?
Yeah, hi, Vishu. One thing like uh, the most of the courses which we have offering, it doesn't cover like anything on the cloud proxy side. Proxy side,
So
does it have anything like that?
certainly. So with cybersecurity course, I think I remember we have a flavor of cloud security, a flavor of cloud infrastructure, how you deploy this firewall infrastructure in the cloud, and how you implement explicit proxy or transparent proxy solutions. It's all included in the cybersecurity course. I think it's mentioned in the curriculum if you go online on www.interviewacademy.com.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not a separate cloud course, but certainly whatever is required to crack those interviews will be covered.
Yeah, I'm just looking out for the concepts. Yeah.
Go ahead, Manvinder.
Do we need to register individually to all the courses, or you will be providing the courses simultaneously in
So
one batch? Like you
the
got four courses.
training that we are going to start from the mid January, it's going to be, covering all those four courses. Like, you will be learning about routing, switching, cybersecurity, VoIP, and wireless networking. Because as I said, end of the day, when you work with an organization, when you apply for another role in a new organization as well, their expectations will fall into these four categories: routing, switching, cybersecurity, wireless networking, and VoIP. So end of the day, you have to learn this at any point in your career. So that's what, we wanted to cover all these four courses at once, so you can register at once and you'll be delivered with all this training content.
Oh, perfect. Thank
Go ahead, Lillian.
My question is for the students from Concordia University of Edmonton. We were informed that there are some spots on behalf of Fortinet to participate in this course. I was wondering what's the next step for us to sign up? We have to email somewhere. I'm not sure about that.
Great question. So the students from the University of Concordia have already registered. I'm sure you're one of them. You might have gone to the website and provided your resume, you have provided your personal information, your academic information. So that's the registration part. So we are aware of all the students who wanted to sign up for this program from University of Concordia. So we'll be sending out emails. No further action is required from the students of University of Concordia.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we'll be sending out emails asking for availability starting from mid-January, and based on the major crowds availability, most crowd availability, they will be scheduling the sessions accordingly.
Hi, Vishu, one more question.
Yes, Rajneesh, go ahead.
Vishu, I'm based out here in Singapore. I'm in the process of interview with one of the company here
Hmm.
called Cloudflare.
Hmm.
So I have already gone through one of the interview. First round with the hiring manager,
Hmm.
it's completed, and for this, they said that in all there will be four technical rounds.
Okay.
So first round is already completed, and second round they have given me a document,
Hmm.
PDF document, which has wherein they are asking me to create a domain and deploy a hosting solution, then point it to Cloudflare. There are so many things because I don't have a strong programming background, so I'm not sure how to deploy, how to develop a website and how the hosting happens. I'm really not sure about that.
Hmm.
So just wanted to understand like whether this particular course will also address those kind of questions.
So there is no coding involved in any of these courses. The most we could go is up to helping you understand the OSM model and the TCP/IP stack, which is required for you to develop a portal, for you to develop an application. But no coding is involved in this course.
No, no, I'm not. I'm not talking about the coding yet because they have not asked me to develop a website.
Hmm.
They just told me to see they have a certain set of instructions which I've been trying to follow up, but I'm really not sure whether I'll be able to achieve that or not. So just wanted to understand how the basic website hosting happens, the domain
Certainly,
register, all
certainly,
those
yeah.
concepts.
Those are part of the cybersecurity course that we have. So we
Yeah.
make sure that you understand how a website operates on the internet, how you connect to it, what kind of infrastructure they may have behind that web server, how actually a firewall will protect that server, and the TCP/IP stack that happens in the communication between you and the web server. Everything is covered in the cybersecurity course.
Okay.
And especially with the vendor that I think the company that you applied for, what is that you said? It's a Cloudflare, right?
Cloudflare.
So
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
have this hosting services, the DNS service. They have this domain services. They have proxy services. They have content delivery network. So for
Correct.
all these services, you need to be very much aware as how the resolutions happen, how the traffic is redirected, how the traffic is load balanced for many web
Yeah.
servers that are placed in different countries. So yeah, I mean these are all covered in as that part of the cybersecurity course.
Okay. Thanks. Thanks, Vishnu.
Any other questions? Devendra, go ahead.
Yeah, so my question is, will you guys will also be helping us with the resume building, and what do you mean by extended support? Like once this training has ended, like and we're applying for interviews and we're giving interviews.
Yeah.
So what does this extended support
Yeah,
means?
so
Like,
we're going to send out an email with all the features of this program, what that extended support is and everything. But I'm going to give you some brief intro into that extended support now. So extended support is like, if you are not aware of certain things for preparing for the interview. Let's say you applied for a role in Deloitte, and the role is expecting you to know about some tools, some technologies that is not covered in the course. This is job specific skill set. Now we make sure that at least 80 to 90% is covered for any role that you apply for in the field of IT, cybersecurity, and wireless networking. But if something is not clear for you and you still want to prepare on that technology, you can reach out to us by sending an email. We give you some inputs and some preparation tips for that role, for a few things that you are not aware of. And if you didn't understand certain technology, even after having going through some videos that we have provided you, even after going through that one-on-one session that during the tenure of the course, if you didn't understand something, you can still send out an email to us, and we'll set up a time where we can think about the challenge you're facing, and we can discuss the challenge that you're facing and then address it immediately so that you're ready for the next interview. So any kind of technical assistance, like you're applying for interview, you don't know how you have to design your resume, you can come to us. But obviously you have to make sure that you have at least a basic resume with your basic hobbies, with your basic personal experience all written in that resume, and you have to provide that role that you're applying for. Give us that information, and we are going to make sure that your resume comes up in their in their search with the keywords. We're going to add some keywords to your resume, highlight them for your information, and you have to make sure that you get skilled in those areas that we highlight in the resume, and then you can apply for the interview. So things like this, any technical advice you need, or if you're feeling low, if you're feeling less confident, we are going to help you fill that gap as to where you're feeling less confident, and make sure that you're good in that area. It's the technical advice we're going to give in that extended period. Obviously you have
Great.
access to the videos throughout until you find a job, and even after you find a job.
Yeah. Thanks. Thanks.
Questions? And one more thing, how this course is going to be different from academics is, again, universities. I'll be really honest. After having interviewed like tens of people, I'm sure definitely crossed more than 100 for sure. But I would say at least tens of people from my interview experience, right? From the way I interview, I can see that the fresh graduates are lacking that connect um, with the organizations. They do not have any understanding or any knowledge of how organizations work, or how customers work, what their expectations are, because universities are mostly about teaching you the technology, and how you adapt to that technology is up to you again. They may ask you to go do certain labs, they may ask you to go do some research, write a paper and things like that, but adapting to the technology is something they don't uh, ask the students to to do before they apply for the interviews. So when I say adapting, right, you have to um, like an example I've given for driving a car, right? You adapt to the vehicle, to the vehicle's body, so that it is synchronous. The action that you do when you steer your vehicle to the left or the right, you can actually feel it that you are moving and your vehicle is moving. So that kind of adapting nature is required when you work on a technology as well. That way you don't have to even think of the next step. Subconsciously you'll be able to fix the problem. Subconsciously you'll be able to find out what may be happening when they implemented the solution and what problem they're running into. So when you're working subconsciously, then you don't find that stress in your mind. So we bring up that subconscious nature when you're working on certain technologies. So that's where we stand. That's where the universities lack in delivering that kind of content. Just giving you that outline one more time, as to what this program can offer and how we are different from others, right? I mean, if it is just any online training course, well, it is rather better you sign up for an online course for 20 or $30. You don't have to really invest a lot of time and resources with us. And we have seen CCIE experts also failing the interviews, so we do not want such experience with the fresh graduates, because fresh graduates, they have a lot of expectations. They are new to this industry, they are highly energetic, highly positive, and when they face a failure, we know how it feels, after having invested like 30,000 Canadian dollars, after having done a lot of part-time jobs, after all these things, the first interview when they fail, we know how it feels, because we have seen the people's faces when they're not able to answer the question. So from that pain, we came up with this idea, and we were able to successfully see certain candidates crack complex interviews. So we thought we could be of major help for a larger crowd, for many other universities, and at the same time, it has to be a win-win for both the business, for the people who are investing their time at our end as well, and for the people who are joining this course. So So we're making sure um, that fine line is established between the universities and the organizations and us as interviewers. So a few people have joined late in the meeting, so that's fine. I'm going to share a recording of this meeting so that you can go through it and think about it for some time. Again, there is no force or pressure on you guys. This webinar is not to make you feel afraid. I mean, not all the interviews are very complex. There are certain interviews with certain pay which are less complex, which requires you to have less skill set. So obviously, there is no pressure involved there. But majority of the organizations are taking this approach of asking scenario-based questions. So just think about it, take your time when you are signing up to this course. We want to ensure that you are giving your 100%. It's not that it's not any academic course that you're signing up now. It's not any academic course you're signing up now. It's a life changing course that you're signing up. So you have to ensure that you put your 100% effort while you go through this lectures with the instructor, and you do all the homework before you come to the next class. I'm not sure if you have really been keen on the academics the last 2 years in your masters or the last 1 year in the masters. But if you're really keen in this program, if you really put your 100% in this program, then we can certainly assure you that you're going to crack an interview in a good organization with a good pay for sure. That we can certainly assure. I cannot say whether you'll be able to get a job after your masters immediately, but I can certainly say you can get good number of chances of getting hired after this training. Any other questions from anyone? So the course and fee structure will be sent to you over emails because we have this pilot project with universities. For the universities and to the women candidates, we are not charging anything, and that's the reason being it's a pilot project, and we have future opportunities with the universities where we could get a larger crowd to sign up for this course and get benefited. So for that, we are not charging anything from the women students, and also it's a part of some government initiative with the local government initiative in Edmonton and here in BC. We are also working on some initiatives from non-profit organizations in Halifax, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia region. So for them, the course fee and everything is going to be different. But for external candidates, it is going to be different. Anyway, it's 50% discounted during these holidays if it is something that you're registering in the next couple of weeks or so. So all those details will be unicasted to all of you, to people who have joined this and to people who haven't joined. You should be expecting some emails coming from Interview Academy after this. So the length of this course is going to be 3 months. We are hoping it is 3 months, and we are going to target for a 2 day or a 3 day session in a week, and every day like 2 to 3 hours. That's what we are targeting. Mostly we'll wrap it up in 3 months, making sure that you're good at all these areas. Obviously, you have your semester things going on and your exams coming up, so we make sure that this course aligns to your existing schedule. Thank you, Madhi. So I hope I've answered all your questions. Does anyone have any other questions? All right. So thank you everyone for joining this webinar. I hope we have given some clarity on this program and the expectations. So if you are not sure about it, if you have joined late, please go through the recorded meeting. I will be sharing that link in the email after this webinar. And thank you very much. You guys have a great day. Think about it and get back to us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Vishu.
Thank you. Thank you, Ankit.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Vishu.
Thank you, Rajneesh.